Alonzo Thompson Lincoln and Velma Dinkley are two sides of the same coin, and that is the representation of marginalized people in media and television. While this isn't the kind of thing I usually like to discuss on the channel due to all of the nuance behind political issues, I will do my best to address exactly why Lonnie succeeded where Velma failed, from a purely narrative and apolitical standpoint. In case you didn't know, I'm Inviso, and this is Medianalysis. Here we go. Lonnie Lincoln is a character that was introduced in the first episode of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. He is initially stated to be a jock on the football team, whom Peter Parker thinks is only trying to be his science partner because he wants to take all of the credit from the smart kid and doesn't really care about academics. However, Lonnie surprises both Peter and the audience by displaying a competent level of chemistry, even stating that he doesn't want to be seen as just a jock, and that he wants to feature with more avenues than only football. But in his life outside of school, everyone views him in a certain way, and they judge him before they even get to know him. And it doesn't exactly help that he lives in one of the rougher areas of the city either. Despite all this, instead of letting the opinions of others dictate who he is, Lonnie works to be the exact opposite of what everyone thinks he is, subverting the expectations of everyone he meets once they actually decide to talk to him. How is Velma introduced to the story in her debut episode? It starts with her monologuing about how her backstory is better than everyone else, how much of a main character she is, and that she assembled the greatest group of mystery solvers of all time, which is just subjectively not true, as she and her friends solved 2 mysteries over the course of 20 episodes. As far as every other detective show goes, those are terrible numbers and nothing to brag about. She violently assaults or berates everyone for having a different opinion than her, and even when they share the same opinion that she has, she is still mad at them because of arbitrary and superficial reasons. Everyone she butts heads with tells her exactly why she is unlikable, but she simply calls them idiots and refuses to acknowledge their criticism, let alone grow from it. As the story progresses, we see that Lonnie gets a call from his mom telling him that his kid brother got caught up in a gang. When Lonnie tries to get him out of the gang, the leader says that he won't allow that to happen, so Lonnie offers a trade that the gang leader, Big Don, couldn't resist. Lonnie or his brother? His brother leaves and Lonnie takes his place. Could simply walking out the door and calling the cops work just as well, if not better, than this plan? Absolutely, but that's not the point. The point is that this shows that Lonnie is willing to sacrifice his own future just so that his brother can have one, but more on that later. When it comes to Velma, she is the exact opposite. She will gladly throw anyone under the bus, regardless of if she has adequate amounts of information to make such assertions. She will do what gets her ahead in the short term, even if it means crossing her friends and family in the process. In fact, in her debut episode, she assaults a student, mouths off to law enforcement, insults her stepmom, quits a job that she just started that same day, cheats on her math tests, and tries to get her stepmom sent to jail out of pure spite with no evidence whatsoever. And that wasn't even the entire first episode. What makes Lonnie so great of a character is the fact that no matter what, he will always do right by others, even at the cost of his own well-being. He even gets stabbed by the leader of a rival gang, just to protect the leader of the gang he is currently in, even though he resents Big Don for everything he has done up to this point. Whereas in Velma's case, you could be her best friend and she will still treat you like you aren't worth anything, and most of the time it boils down to how she feels about her perception of you, and not even anything you actually did. Even when others are trying to help her be a better person and not a terrible person, she will go out of her way to be a contrarian and objectively in the wrong, so long as it means that she can die on her hill and never have to change as a person. Velma sees herself as perfect and above others while morally grandstanding, despite the fact that everyone calls her out for how imperfect and flawed her own opinions and morals are at almost every turn. Lonnie learns how to compromise the things that he wants for the things that he needs to do. Velma isn't capable of such a character trait, and it's why she is seen as so unfavorable in the eyes of the audience. Before, Lonnie just wanted to be a normal high school superstar that can still be smart and have a future. But once he joins the 110 gang, he actually tells everyone in the gang to stop calling him a superstar, and they start calling him Tombstone. If you know anything about astronomy, you know that once a star collapses in on itself, that star is dead. And what better way than to represent something as dead than with a tombstone, right? Some stars become black holes when they die, black holes that suck in all of the light. However, it's important to note that not all stars can become a black hole. Only giant stars, or perhaps one could say, superstars. And what was Lonnie's nickname in the gang before he became Tombstone again? Symbolism aside, how do these two deal with stereotypes? With Lonnie, we see how people in school perceive him as just another dumb jock before they learn about him and realize he has more complexity than what you see on the surface. And when he is going home from school, we see how others racially profile him based on what he looks like. In both instances, people around Lonnie instantly assume the worst in him without even getting to know him. But Lonnie isn't oblivious to this. Instead, he works as hard as he can to be the exact opposite of the stereotypes that people compare him to be. And what is tragically ironic is that all of that effort was for nothing, as he ends up turning into the thug-like criminal that everyone saw him as when he was walking down the street before he even joined the 110 gang. Velma, however, uses stereotypes to deliver insults and backhanded compliments to those around her, or tries to use them as a way to show that she is self-aware, but all that really does is come off as self-absorbed. The only thing that she actually takes accountability for in this entire show is the fact that she was the reason her mom went missing, but it turns out that wasn't even her fault, as she was literally hypnotized into thinking that it was. How crazy is it that the one thing that she says is her fault isn't even something that she did and was manipulated into believing that it was her fault? When it comes down to it, Lonnie is a character that is aware of the stereotypes that are aimed against him, but he is willing to work in order to rise above them and show that he is better than what others think of him. Velma, on the other hand, uses stereotypes as a way of ridiculing others, as she presents herself as holier than thou, while being no better than, or even outright worse, than those she criticizes. In the end, Lonnie Lincoln is a character that grows and develops, as he changes his mindset to fit his environment, while Velma is a character that doesn't go out of her way to be better, and when she is in a situation where someone is challenging her ideas, she will change her environment in order to fit her mindset, surrounding herself with people who agree with her and rejecting those that challenge her shallow-minded worldview. When it comes down to who the better written character is and how they acknowledge, deal with, and represent certain stereotypes in their respective media while being persons of color, between Velma Dinkley and Lonnie Lincoln, I'm sure by now you can tell that it's Lonnie Lincoln, and it's not even close. This type of video isn't one that I usually make, but I had a lot of fun with my Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man video, and I thought it was insane how some people were saying that the changes made in the show were not good in terms of the character development and the writing. So I thought I would show an example of what bad colored characters in media are, so you can see what that actually looks like. If you enjoyed this style of video, perhaps I will do more like this type of analysis, or I'll just stick to my usual stuff if that's what you all prefer. But at the end of the day, I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you want to see more media analysis, you can click on the playlist on the right. Or if you want to see my most recent video, you can check out this video on the left. However, that's where I'm going to leave off for now. Thank you for staying until the end of the video, and a big thank you to all 1,378 people who bought tickets to the Inviso show. Tell me what you thought about this video, and what you want to see me talk about next time. But, until that next time arrives, I'm Inviso, and that's all for my spill. Like, comment, hit subscribe. I look forward to when I'll see you next time.